Hey, how's it going, guys? My name is Jackie Fish and welcome back to another Total War Rome 2 online battle. Today we are diving in with an ultra competitive match. This battle was taken from the Rise of Kings tournament final, where I believe the winner wins $150. So there's a lot at stake for a Rome 2 tournament right here, and I'm super excited to see how these really high class players perform in this battle and what strategies and stuff they can come up with to win the battle. And I was told also this battle is extremely close, so make sure you guys are sitting comfortably and we will get started in this bad boy engagement, because we don't get to see too many really intense tournament battles. So I'm hoping that this is just going to be full of really high level strategies and we'll get to see some really good players perform on the grand stage, right? So yes, we'll take a look at the attacking team first. So we have a Carthaginian player over on this left hand side, obviously going to be bringing some of the elite units. You're probably not going to see much unit variation in these battles, just because, you know, people are going to be bringing the best units. There's a decent amount of money at stake, a lot of money at stake right here, so, you know, these players will want to win. So we'll be seeing a lot of these Luwian infantry, some pikemen, and also probably some Balearic slingers, yeah, with a unit of cavalry or two, which you can be very, very useful. It's actually expensive cavalry as well they have brought to the field, so we'll have to see if that does pay dividends. I mean, rear charge from them will be devastating. Then for the attacking players, we also have Galatia right here. Again, going to be mainly sticking with the Galatian heavy infantry with a unit of Syrian archer contingents. Again, really high tier units, really good missiles, going to be very deadly if they can get them inside the city. And then finally we do have the Arverni as well, and again, chosen swordsmen, probably Gallic Hunters, yeah, and then some other really elite cavalry. So that's going to be the attacking side. Obviously you've kind of got the Carthaginian heavier, kind of a bit more tankier infantry, and then you've got more aggressive Galatian and Arverni infantry, which can kind of really do a lot of damage, but maybe are a little bit more vulnerable. So the battle is going to get kicked off by them just pushing forward the tortoises, ready to smash down these walls, as these rams, I think, it take about 6 or 7 hits and then they do destroy the walls. So it's a very nice way to create a wonderful breach. We also can't see any of the defenders right now just due to line of sight, with defenders not planning on defending these walls, going to kind of let them come forward and then push forward, which I think is obviously a pretty good idea. You know, it means you can hide a lot of your forces in the early game, and it means that you don't kind of commit too far into the fight and just get shot by missiles or something like that. But with defenders, we do have a Crimean player. Crimean? I believe this is a Crimean player. We also have one of the African vassals of Messalesli right here, and we also have Egypt. So we're going to see some Hellenic, we're going to see some Desert Legionaries, and I'm sure also some pikemen from Egypt, with a lot of good factions there at their disposal. And right now we are seeing the initial breach right here, and again, still no units have been discovered. So I'm really curious about where they're planning on defending. Are they going to completely give up this outer wall, as we now do get some line of sight? It doesn't seem like there's going to be... Oh, actually, no, I take that back. There is actually a unit... No, these are just Gallic Legionaries. Yeah, so they are really committing just to sitting back. I'm probably going to defend like these points right here. You can see where we've got some traps set up. So yeah, probably going to defend a little bit further back, which I think is a pretty smart idea, because if you do decide to defend this outer wall right here in a competitive setting, what the players are going to do is they're just going to kind of come around the side, get behind you, and kind of cut off your retreat. Like, you know, attack this wall, and then can kind of completely cut off your retreat, so that this part of the wall is very much undefended or, you know, unsupported. So not a bad idea right there from the defenders, just holding back and trying to keep themselves safe. You know, you don't want to overcommit to these battles. You know, let the attackers come into the city. They're destroying more parts of the wall. You know, let them breach the city walls, and then that's where their fate will be met. You obviously do kind of lose that advantage of being able to pin someone in place and sacrifice their units, but obviously these players are all very, very good, so it's unlikely that they would have, you know, committed a massive mistake on the wall itself. Now we are seeing some Gallic Legionaries just advancing into the city. We get a glimpse of the eastern city at first hand. More infantry pushing in, and they must be worried, right? They must be wondering where the hell the rest of the enemy forces are. And we are actually getting a glimpse. There we go, the first little look right there. We do actually have a unit of Galatian swords, so they are going to be defending parts of the wall, but not all of them, which is pretty interesting. I wonder if it's just because this is like Libyan infantry and these Gallic swords do a good job. I don't know. Maybe I just want to try and defend this tower. Again, not a bad idea. These towers do some serious damage if they are left alone. We're starting to get a few more like ideas of where the rest of the infantry is being set up. There you go, some Crimean noble infantry. So it's basically just heavy hoplites back here. And as the attackers get further and further into the settlement, yeah, I don't really know what's going on here. I think the AI is a little bit glitchy, but it doesn't look like they are planning on defending this part. I wonder if because it's so far away from the rest of the settlement, that they're just going to be a little bit more defensive. And this is, again, one of the reasons why the attackers or the defenders aren't putting any men on the walls as well, is because you can see that as soon as this unit jumped on the wall, this piece of siege equipment immediately started moving from attacking this to attacking this. Basically, you know, you can destroy the wall where the infantry are standing, and it will just kill the unit, obviously. So that's why these tools are being used like they are. They're ultra effective. And as I said, that's probably one of the reasons why they're planning on not really defending the walls, just because of how powerful this is. You know, if there's an infantry unit fighting your infantry unit up here, you just gotta destroy the wall, and it obviously takes out from under them. All that unit has to retreat, and then again you win. And that's kind of why this infantry unit is up here right now, is that you're obviously playing a little bit more defensive. Also, you may have noticed as well that there are a bunch of siege towers pushed up. That's because there's a ballista up here, which is doing damage. As well as that, it gives their men some cover as well. So that's why there's like a bunch of random siege towers scattered throughout the city. So yeah, we're almost about 10 minutes into the battle, and there hasn't been a single engagement right now. The infantry are just piling in. Again, I'm really curious about what the idea is behind this. Probably just to try and defend the tower a little bit more. Which again is obviously not a bad idea if they can help it. Destroying that tower is going to be very, very effective for the attackers if they can just get in. But now this unit is kind of stuck. Yeah, the unit of infantry is kind of just stuck up here now. I mean, obviously they can come down, but I'm curious to, like, you know, what the plan is with this unit. As well as that, we are now also seeing the attackers getting stuck into the city. Going to be taking this capture point fairly quickly, because by taking this they take away a small morale buff from the defenders and give it to the attackers. So it's a nice thing to do, to always take these, and it does seem like for the purposes the defenders are not going to be holding it. They've really got like an ultra defensive setup right here. Lots of these rough rocks, which are pretty effective because it does slow up the attackers quite heavily, which means it just becomes a lot more vulnerable from the missile fire that will be coming in. Obviously, we've got to expect a lot of Cretan archers and also Rhodian slingers just hammering away at the attackers. And there we go. First blood has now properly been drawn as the Libyan infantry just scares off the Galatian swords. They're still just running away. They just really do not want to get picked up by this unit. And again, the Libyan infantry isn't going to overcommit. We're just going to plan on taking this tower and then moving on with their day. So it only took 10 minutes, but we did finally get a bit of an engagement. So let's jump ahead a little bit in this replay, because obviously the attackers are mainly moving their forces inside the city. So let's jump ahead until we get a proper kind of assault on the position. And as soon as I cut away, we immediately dive into the combat. There is a unit of there's a unit of desert legionaries right here, which are now being engaged upon by the Galatian swords. They've kind of got their backs against the wall, so they can't be enveloped. And again, this is a unit that could quite easily be ignored, but it's planning like they're not, or looking like they're not going to be. And then we also have another unit of desert legionaries from Messalesli going to be engaging the Galatian swords. And this unit of desert legionaries is absolutely amazing. They do a ton of damage. They're basically just like legionaries. They're a little bit worse than legionaries, but they definitely just do an amazing job at supplementing the infantry for the Numidians. And yeah, they definitely will be able to deal with these Galatian swords if left untouched. But I'm sure Galatia is not going to sit idly by. They are going to be reinforcing. We also have some barricade. Are these like this is just part of the map, right? Yeah, this must just be part of the map. Maybe not. Maybe this is a barricade setup. Probably not, though. So it does seem like Messalesli are going to be defending this right flank, and they also have some support from Crimea as well. So we're starting to see a lot more of the defense really come into view right now. Seems like they are heavily giving up this position on the right-hand side, like this corner of the settlement. They're going to be defending this around here. It'll be interesting to see if they do continue to go back. I mean, obviously, all they have to do is defend this path right here, which I'm sure they're doing, because that is the only way in from this side of the settlement into the city centre, which is obviously the objective to capture. It's a nice little statue right there as well. So, yeah, so the assault is coming in right now. It seems like the Arvenni and the Galatians are really just moving into range, trying to use as many of their javelins as they can. But it's going to be brutal. Obviously, you know, look how slow this unit does start to get. Actually, wait, what? They're still running. How are they running on all these rough rocks? We don't take damage or anything. Yeah, what the hell? What's the point of these rough rocks? Here's some javelins coming in, though, as the infantry is about to come flying through. And there we go, smashing into the hoplite wall. It's going to be very, very difficult for them to break that. Obviously, the Crimean noble infantry being pretty goddamn strong, but the assault has now begun on every single side. Obviously, going to be utilizing them javelins really, really effectively as well. Just trying to whittle down the numbers, whittle down that HP shield that these nobles do have and all infantry do have. So pretty deadly. It does seem like the Desert Legionaries are heavily committing to this position though and doing an amazing job. You can just see how well they do against the Galatian nobles. This one is down to 50 men left in the unit, whereas the Desert cohort is, you know, just basically those 26 men. That's a very nice exchange rate right there. KDA very much in favor. They are also getting some missile support, probably from the Cretan archers. But the defenders do have, but you know, still, you know, even without that support, I'm sure that those cohorts would have won these engagements. However, we are getting some more reinforcements turned up. Another unit, however, they are quite quickly engaged by more desert cohorts. And the Carthaginians have completely shifted over their formation as well. Instead of really trying to assault the corner, which the other two are, they're looking to move over. And we're seeing a lot of the kind of supportive teamwork right here. We've got the Arvenni and we've got Galatia kind of really teaming up here. And then over on this other side, we have Galatia and the Carthaginians also teaming up, trying to put a lot of pressure, trying to stretch the defenders as best as they can, which is obviously a very smart idea. Little engagement right here by the Libyan infantry, taking a lot of Pila as they come in, but now they are going to be fighting against their former vassals. It's going to be a hard fight indeed, and this is why there's such a big fight over this part of the wall, because if you can secure these walls, obviously you unlock these towers for your team, and also you can get archers up here which will just do an insane amount of damage. And it does seem like the Libyan infantry are struggling on the walls, obviously getting focus fired by a lot of them Cretan archers, Crimean archers. These bowmen are, you know, heavily focusing down. They actually look amazing as well, like got a kind of like nomadic feel to them. That's really cool. But yeah, they've been heavily focusing down here, just trying to break more of the infantry on the walls, and there's a lot of Pila throw coming in, which is obviously causing them some serious damage. So far the defenders are doing a great job right now at kind of really making the attackers pay for every single inch that they come up. And it's going to be really hard, obviously. You know, right now you do have some hoplites fighting. You know, even though they are heavy chosen swordsmen, at the end of the day they're still hoplites, and they're going to trade extremely well with the chosen. So, you know, like, this is going to be a great fight for both sides, but, you know, the hoplites are still doing exactly what the hoplites want to do, and that's just hold a frontal unit in place and slowly grind them down over time. There is also, you know, a lot of these kind of lighter. This is one of the really nice things about the forces of Egypt is they have, you know, kind of, they're not really your traditional Hellenic faction. They have a lot more lighter infantry, obviously getting access to the Galatian Royal Guard. They kind of have a lot more hybrid units, which the rest of the Hellenic factions don't tend to have too much, you know. They have more maneuverability, they have more aggressive infantry that can just do an insane amount of damage. We're seeing the defenders right now not wanting to push this whatsoever. Obviously, we've got a unit of 4-axe pikemen really covering these hoplite walls, and there's just nothing that they can really do to break this. They are going to charge in and try to start grinding away at the hoplite wall, trying to bring down some of these numbers. And, I mean, to be fair, it can be pretty successful. When the hoplite wall does start to drop down, they can definitely really do some damage to it. They've already lost 20 men. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a lot of, like, you know, this unit actually getting cut down pretty heavily from the Galatian Legionaries. Probably not going to obviously wipe it out, but still bring it down quite nicely. The Desert Legionaries have done an amazing job for the defenders over in this alleyway right here, or this street. They've managed to kill the units, actually 2v1 one of the Galatian Legionary units from the attackers. And right now we're seeing them just fully team up. So yeah, the Numidians, the Messalizi have done a great job. However, they have just lost one of their units right here, which is probably going to see this unit of Galatian Legionaries run right into the side of the desert cohorts and bring them down pretty quickly as soon as they realize they've won here, I'm assuming. However, we do have the Desert Legionaries reacting a little bit quicker than the Galatians. And that's, in a game, in a tournament final where there's $150 at stake. That can cost you battles right there. Maybe if these guys would have got stuck in, managed to wrap up the attackers, that could have really have helped. Again, obviously this is just such a small point, but in these high-level tournament games, small stuff like that really does make all the difference. And oh my god, these guys are getting absolutely slaughtered. What the hell happened to this unit of Libyan infantry? They just got absolutely demolished by whatever was being thrown at them. Absolutely brutal. More of the desert cohorts fighting against the Libyan infantry. And it seems like the Libyan infantry are getting a little bit surrounded. However, we do have more Carthaginians reinforcing that little gap right there. Going to try and pierce their way through the formation. Some javelins coming in and then probably charging in. And again, not a bad idea right here. They can use their javelins to whittle down this flank and then just simply move in and envelop their opponents. So just trying to pierce down, but obviously losing this position right here is pretty devastating because the towers just stay online for a little bit longer. That really racks up a nice amount of damage. We're going to be getting a charge in here, trying to pull through. Oh no, actually, I'm going to try and take the walls, which again, I don't think is a bad idea, because if you take these walls, you can actually come around the side and obviously use this stairways to get right behind the attackers or the defenders and actually really punish them for holding these kind of defensive positions and make them just have to fall back that little bit quicker. A lot of Gallic Hunters coming in right now. And one of the amazing things about the Gallic Hunters is that they can stay invisible whilst they shoot. They're probably not like out of line of sight right here. They can do some really good damage, and obviously they're trying to take down as many Crimean archers as possible until they get taken out. Realizing that they can't really win like a head-to-head with the Greek archers, they are going to pull back and just try and take their advantage, get hidden again, and start popping off shots, because that's really where the Gallic Hunters do thrive. It's just the ability to shoot at their opponents without them really being able to see them. How has this hoplite wall done so far in the battle? So yeah, the hoplite wall's done great. How many kills is it on? 57, 60 kills? That's not bad. That's like a half a unit for like a third of their own unit, and they're breaking. This one, again, this one's taking a little bit more of a pounding, but still pretty strong. What's about 50? Killed about 50. And again, that's exactly what you want from the hoplite walls. Again, we're actually going to be seeing these units pull back a bit, which again is a smart idea now that pikemen have been thrown forward into the front lines, because the pikemen obviously just do that damage whilst the hoplite wall holds them in place. So that's, can become very scary. But once again, more reinforcements thrown up over here, and the Desert Legionaries just seem like they're doing so much work right now, able to get this kind of triangle envelopment on the Galatian Legionaries, and that just does so much added damage to them. We are getting a cavalry charge here from Galatia, looking to rear charge, or at least flank charge the enemy. And that's going to be doing some nice damage. However, they're going to commit their general pretty heavily into this fight, and they did take a spear volley from the Galatian warband of Egypt. And that charge did come in, but they did lose. I guess they only lost 2 men from the unit, so it's not all lost, but they have lost the assault on this street, and these Desert Legionaries are going to be just pulling back kind of to a defensive area, get their energy back, and going to go on. So far, the defense has been absolutely solid, like really strong stuff here by the defenders, not giving up an inch. But as you can see, like, cracks can start to appear, and we say this in every single siege. All it takes in a siege battle is one breach can absolutely crumble in a defense, because quite quickly what happens is, as soon as one breach happens, the other units are very vulnerable to being enveloped, so then they have to retreat back, and that creates another breach and then another breach, and then quite quickly the defenders are finding themselves surrounded. And I believe the defenders in battles in Row 2 do get 15% less funds as well, so they just don't have as much quality or as many numbers generally as the attackers. So the attackers can be a bit more foolhardy with their attacks, whereas the defenders have to be very You know, very, very, very careful with where they deploy infantry. Oh, that guy getting absolutely flipped over and body slammed. This dude trying to swim. But unfortunately, he's not in water, so he's not going to go anywhere. Oh my god, look how tall these guys are as well, the Galatian Legionaries against the Galatian swords. It's because this unit is Egyptian, probably, and that's why they're not as tall as the Galatians. But even still, they are going to be able to break the Egyptian infantry unit. And again, you know, it's going to be pretty deadly. Oh, wow! And, oh, sorry, for a second I thought this were the Carthaginians coming through here. I was about to say, oh my god. But no, it's just another cavalry charge coming in. Going to be able to dive into the Libyan infantry. The Libyan infantry will be able to take out a few of these lancers. Obviously not going to be able to get their main ability off. So killing a couple horses here is pretty good. And we also have some archers as well. Some mercenary Cretan archers doing some damage. I assume what the idea is to try and get these Cretan archers up on this wall so they can just shoot down on their opponents. However, obviously the Numidians are not going to be letting them do that. They're going to be reinforcing this area as best as they can as the assault continues to come on. And if we take a look at the overall battlefield, you can see that the infantry are just charging in, trying to break away against the attackers as best as they can. And obviously all we have to do is get to the city centre and capture and hold it. And that's what you kind of tend to see a lot in these battles is a capture flag, which again, you don't really see too much in just public matches, but in tournament matches, the attackers are so fine-tuned on trying to break through and take that capture flag that it tends to come down to who can hold that flag rather than killing one another. You know, because if they can break through this area right here, which they're trying, they're definitely throwing a lot of numbers, and it's actually buckling the Crimean noble infantry. They are starting to falter. And that's why we're seeing more infantry being brought up. But it might be a little bit too late, honestly, if these guys can keep on pushing. You know, as soon as this breaks, they're going to come flying through with everything they've got and probably just start fighting their way to the city centre and hoping that Galatia or the Carthaginians can just hold the enemy back. As you can see, this is kind of everything over on the right-hand side that's still left. There's still plenty of infantry, a lot of these Galatian legionaries, lots of archers still left remaining. And it doesn't look like these archers are firing any shots off into this area, which is fine. And then the Carthaginians. Carthaginians have a lot of units still left remaining. And I love how they're using these siege towers into the battle. We're, what, 25 minutes into the battle, and they're now bringing up another siege tower. I love when people do this, whether it's bringing up siege towers or if it's destroying a part of a wall midway into the battle. Because quite quickly, all of a sudden, this siege tower lands right here, and the defenders have to quickly either decide to commit another unit to stop this or fall back, because this unit's going to come around the side, it's going to hit this desert cohort in the back, it's going to come down these stairs and rear charge right here. It basically just puts the defenders under more pressure, which they have to make decisions about. Do we want to defend this? Do we want to do that? Do we want to do this? And it basically allows them to make mistakes. Also, we're getting an artillery piece set up right here as well. The artillery piece is actually being turned all the way around and firing into what I assume is trying to kill the Galatian general or trying to kill this Carthaginian scorpion, again, which is set up right here. I'm surprised that these haven't been brought up to shoot at the enemy, like set up right here and just shot up the hoplites, but I guess clearly they want to save the ammunition for something a little bit more valuable. So it does seem like they have decided to pull back now from this position, not wanting to overcommit, probably waiting. Like, this is ready to buckle and break, so they're probably waiting in this position for the other sides to get to that point. They don't want to overcommit to a point where, you know, one side breaks. They want to try and break everything at once and just try and cause as much confusion as physically possible. So that's probably why they did decide to pull back here. You know, it does give the defenders more time to bring more men out, but I think that's absolutely fine because they're committing, you know, a lot of these valuable units. Oh, we're also getting a nice little sally out right here. The Galatian nobles came out and slaughtered this unit of infantry right here. And now they're going to continue to push on and, yeah, start to put a lot of pressure on the rear. Maybe that's, again, not one of the reasons they did decide to pull back is because they saw that and they wanted to, you know, get ready. Just basically, they don't want to find themselves capped anywhere in this battle. We're also seeing some Numidian horse riders, though, coming out. However, they are going to be blocked. Obviously, going to be looking in to try and kill these archers as best as they can. As the cavalry does engage against the Libyan infantry. The Libyan infantry obviously able to scare them off. And now the Carthaginian cavalry is coming in as well to deal with this little advancement. And even though Numidian riders are obviously very skilled horsemen, they are still lightly armoured, which will give the advantage to the noble cavalry if they can catch them. We are also seeing a lot of these Crimean archers heavily focusing down the mercenary Cretan archers, which is probably why they are pulling back, trying to get out of range as best as they can. But yeah, the artillery coming in, doing some damage, not able to destroy a piece of the Carthaginian Scorpion quite yet, but still pretty good. Can't see where them Galatian swords went quite yet, but we'll obviously keep an eye on this area of the battlefield. I just think we can't see it yet. Probably hiding like right here, which is obviously not a bad plan at all. I'm also surprised we're not seeing, literally as I say that, I was going to say, I'm surprised we're not seeing any of these archers being brought up to break this, because this is like prime targets. When a unit is very low on HP, you really want to try and just hammer it with archers. It may seem like a little bit of a waste, but the archers do so much damage to wounded units like this, and that's exactly why you're seeing them focusing down these pikemen, focusing down, you know, these hoplites and everything else that they have at their disposal. Again, I'm going to make sure I keep a close eye on that, because I want to see the infantry come around the corner and charge into the enemy positions from the back, because that can be a really, really, really good defense. So it does seem like the defenders have won pretty handily over on this side of the settlement. They obviously leave themselves very vulnerable. I know exactly what this desert cohort is planning on doing. Obviously going to be trying to catch the Carthaginian units in that street. They obviously leave themselves vulnerable to stuff coming over through that wall. But if they block the wall with one unit of infantry, they can basically envelop this unit of Carthaginians in the midst of the street. They obviously engage from one side, and this infantry is going to come around the other side and just hit them in the rear, which is obviously going to be absolutely devastating and probably break them morale-wise. A lot of archer fire is coming in to try and, you know, counter this, but they're basically going to lose a fresh unit of, or a half-strength unit of Libyan infantry, which is never what you want to do. So right now, the defenders are doing an amazing job, but the attackers have the manpower to really, you know, sustain these casualties and not have to worry too much. Because the defenders, even though they are trading really well, that's kind of just what defenders do in battles, right? You know, they can hold the choke points. They have, you know, access to very good units to do so with the hoplites and the pikemen. But over time, the attackers just grind them down bit by bit, and it really does start to show. So we're getting another unit of these fresh chosen swordsmen thrown into the stronger unit of Crimean infantry. And then we'll get the same over on this side as well. And there we go. The infantry have now come in, and that's going to be a big issue. Unless the defenders can deal with this is going to be pretty scary. Or the attackers can deal with this. It's going to be pretty scary to have this unit coming into your back. Also taking these towers is going to be very nice as well, because I'm pretty sure they're in range from here. So these towers will start racking up some kills again. Yep, exactly that. So the towers will be killing, you know, 2-3 men every like 4 or 5 shots. So that also really helps you turn the tide of battle. And look at that, the unit is actually already close to breaking. And then these two units can come in, maybe kill some Gallic archers. This is, this is really bad. I'm not sure if it's gone unnoticed or what, but they really need to do something about this, like ASAP, because this could cost them the game and the tournament right here if they don't quickly deal with this. Right now, we also have more of a desert. So it does look like the Desert Legionaries are really being cut down now. The Galatian Legionaries are doing a much better job now that they're fighting a lot more tired and exhausted Messalese troops. So by committing to this fight now, they're definitely going to be outmatching the Desert cohorts and bringing them down to size a lot quicker. Yeah, look at that. They managed to break them. And I just don't know if the Arvenni had noticed this. Like, I don't know if that was just a rear charge and gone unnoticed. You know, I don't know. If they can just come in and kill these archers, that's absolutely huge, right? And okay, finally they've realized. Yeah, finally. Oh my god. I don't know if they've lost all of this or what, but I assume these Galatian units are out of ammunition as well, probably. But they're kind of in a position where they have to try and break this, which is just really unfortunate. Like, they don't really want to have to defend this. And you can see that the Egyptians are realizing they probably just want to hold these choke points. and bring down the enemy infantry. But if this unit is actually in range of the towers as it moves forward, that could be pretty unfortunate. Again, it's just like poor trade. Some javelins coming in as well, taking down a handful of them as they collide into the enemy formation. And yeah, they're actually in range of the towers, so let's just be taking off a couple more of these chosen swordsmen. One or two here and there really does add up over time. And it also takes away more men from these other positions where they could be assaulting. It does seem like this is still an absolute brick wall, with the pikemen being brought up, another entire unit of Hellenic Royal Guard being thrust into the battle, which is ultra scary, obviously. And we've got a unit of 4x pikemen here as well, so still pretty hard. The defenders are just, holding to the last man. However, the attacking persistence has started to pay off in this engagement, as we are now seeing basically a full-on retreat right here by the Egyptians and the Crimeans, basically giving up this position just because they were under so much pressure. We've also got a lot more archers, and the rest of our reinforcements are now making their way inside the city. We're going to have to see if this does pull them back even more. We're about 3 minutes on in the battle, as I wanted to go ahead and let the Carthaginians flood into the city a little bit more and see what mischief they can cause as the attackers continue to push into the city, continue to break their opponents bit by bit. And they've definitely done a great job of that. They've put them under a lot of pressure. Seriously, they have broken basically this side again, and that's going to just stretch the defenders even more. Instead of the 2 streets or whatever they were defending beforehand, they're now going to be defending a lot more than that. There's 3 streets on this side they have to try their best to commit to, and we are getting some noble horse now being advanced into the settlement, and you can see they are gearing up to try and maybe charge into some enemy infantry. However, they're immediately met by a unit of hoplites. So that's unfortunately not going to be the case right there. Going to have to pull back just a little bit more. Look to obviously reform and maybe try and find another entrance point somewhere else, so they can a bit more effectively just find their way in. And they're obviously also taking missile fire. But again, this is basically bringing more men back, and you're starting to see the defenders running out of infantry. You've got a pretty nice javelin throw right up here as the Egyptians come flying in. But a lot of these units are, weakened units. They're not as strong as they once were. They don't have as many men anymore. They're really starting to drop down bit by bit. And that's obviously going to work in favor for the defender, or for the attackers, sorry, because it's just going to open up these breach points bit by bit. You can see they're victorious right there. They've managed to break through here, and only a couple units of Crimean archers. So we're going to see a full-on retreat right now from the defenders, whether they wanted it or not. They managed to get 1 unit of Crimean noble infantry out. We are seeing them pull back, and this is going to be a perfect position for them to set up this attack. We've got a unit of heavy archers right here shooting over the cliff onto these Galatians, into their side, into their back. And you can already see they're doing a lot of damage as they do decide to charge in, try and break down some of these Crimean nobles. However, the hoplites, obviously, a force to be reckoned with. But this is going to be very good for the attackers. Give them a little bit more respite, gives them ability to come in and then push them back. The defenders have now retreated a little bit more, but this is going to be kind of their last stand. Whereas after this, nowhere really to retreat from. We've got a large army from the Carthaginians going to come around and try and cause them off, because there's still 5 choke points right here, right? There's one here, one right there, one here, and then one up here as well. So there's a lot of abilities for the attackers to get stuck in if they have the numbers. And it's going to be a little while until they can fully get everything they want up here. But once they do, that's going to be pretty brutal, honestly. And even if this doesn't look amazing for the attackers, like they are running out of men, the defenders are going to be a little bit stretched, as they are now pouring into the city. We also have this unit of pikemen who have just put their backs up against the wall, and this is pretty good. This unit is basically stuck here, but obviously the attackers don't want to just leave this unit, because it can come in the back and maybe do some annoying damage. But it's basically just like impenetrable right now, unless they have some javelins to deal with it. So it's kind of like a nice, a small minor distraction. That'll do some serious damage. Oh, and it seems like the Crimean nobles are falling back now. No surprise there, really. We've also managed to get some infantry round through the gap and probably into the back of these Crimean nobles. As you can see, the hoplites doing their best to just envelop. Because obviously when you do envelop the enemy formation, that does do some serious work. But they are going to get rear charged by a unit of heavy Numidian cavalry, so that's probably going to silence them up. And now we go into the final stages of this tournament battle. Let's jump ahead though until the rest of the assaults are going off right now, because right now it's just kind of like the Galatians probing at the enemy forces. So let's jump ahead until all of this is a little bit further forward. With only 15 minutes left of the battle, we are seeing a huge push on this side. The Galatians are throwing everything they have with the Arvenni, just trying to break the defending hoplites. And under this much pressure, we might see that actually occur. Over on this left-hand side, we do have like the ultimate setup of hoplite wall and pikemen, so this is not being broken through, and that's probably why we're seeing such a heavy push right here. We've even got the Crimean general being thrown in, which will be pretty deadly if he does go down. A lot of missile fire and javelins, obviously just focusing down these pikemen. And these pikemen aren't actually in formation, so I wonder if we're going to try and engage them. So even though the defenders have done such a great job, the attackers are still just relentless in their assault. And obviously this big blob is going to leave themselves very vulnerable. The Galatian general is actually getting shot to pieces right there by that volley. Oh my god. He's going to probably able to pull out of that and survive, but even still, that's yeah, a little bit of general sniping going on. But I mean, all's fair in love and war, so you bring your general that close, you expect him to be shot. We're seeing the Crimean noble infantry being broken, and you know, that could be pretty deadly. Obviously, the archers can obviously focus down this point and get up a lot of kills, but they are breaching this battle line. Gaps are starting to appear in this hoplite wall, right? It's a big gap right here. So I think this is going to be the breach that either wins it or loses it for the attackers, as more infantry just continue to come up. I wonder what the Carthaginians are planning here. Like, if they're just trying to keep some units over here. I mean, honestly, there is like a big gap here. And they are going to charge in here. It doesn't seem like these pikemen have their pikes down. This is a huge misstep right now. Because they're going to be taking a lot more damage. And if I was them right now, I'd just try and pull everything in. Finally, they do put out their pikes. Yeah, they put out their pikes almost immediately. Which, I mean, that's probably the idea behind it. It's probably not a huge misstep. They probably want to let the enemy come into their unit and then drop the pikes. So then their pikes do a lot more damage. So they're probably looking to kill a lot more than maybe just hold them in place. So a nice little infantryman right there trying to engage Valyrian infantry. Brutal stuff, yeah, because now this unit is going to get taken down. They managed to take down another 10 pikes, which is no small feat. We're getting cavalry charges and more reinforcements being brought over. Again, the defenders are, you know, playing a very smart game right here, not looking to, you know, overcommit to areas. They're quickly reinforcing area positions. And we also have Desert Legionaries coming in. Where the hell did this come from? How the hell did, where the hell did all these Desert Legionaries come from? Did I miss something? They're going to be coming in and hitting the Arvenni in the side. The pikemen advancing in as well. Literally sandwiching them in between a legionary unit and a pike. I don't think anyone wants to be in that position. Does not seem good whatsoever. And they're now fighting beside the defenders are being ultra aggressive here. Well, the push is still being commenced. You know, they are doing damage after all. Both these hoplite units are down. There's also a big gap in the center they could try and use. I think they're very reluctant to try and, like, use this. It's just because that cavalry unit's going to come flying into their side. And we do have a unit of Crimean noble infantry being advanced up as well, popping that raise your banners, which is going to be a big area of effect buff to the defenses. The pikes are basically impenetrable, so the Carthaginians aren't really doing much right now. Do they have any artillery left or anything? Well, they do have some slingers. So the slingers are trying to rack up some kills. But it's just kind of slow going. And until this breach does happen, there's not really much more the Carthaginians can do about it. But shot after shot is definitely still adding up. I mean, if this breaks, it doesn't really seem like they have that much left. to break through here. And we're probably going to see the defenders pull back once again. The attackers pull back as the pikemen advance. So basically, wherever these pikemen are, the attackers can't really be. They just do so much damage when they do put down them pikes. They really, really do. Becomes pretty scary. I mean, also these Desert Legionaries can quite easily fight out. But again, I think both sides are kind of scared of the enemy missiles and also the enemy cavalry. So they don't want to overextend. And right now, when there's $150 on the line, there's no need for the defenders. The defenders have this battle in the bag, and it's really up to the attackers to win this one. And they're doing a good job of it, right? They're breaking these pikemen. If they could throw their army around this side, yeah, you're going to have to really stretch them. And right now, we're even seeing some archers, Crimean heavy archers being thrown into this battle. Anything to try and just hold this place. As Carthage make their move with their Iberian mercenaries. And taking down a lot of these heavy archers. Obviously, no real match to the Iberians. But all this archer unit is doing is it's basically holding this unit in place until the rest of the Numidians can turn up to reinforce. Done a pretty good job over here, which is again going to be putting a lot of pressure on the defenders. So yeah, honestly, I don't know. I could see this battle going either way. I just think the defenders have a very good position. But if these like hoplites break for Crimea over here, then that is devastating. With the pikemen being here, it's just so good. But then again, there's still like a lot of really good stuff over here. Yeah, I honestly don't know who's going to win this battle. It's going to be an ultra close one. It really is. Some of the chosen swords have broken through, but they're going to find themselves on the wrong side of history as they just get enveloped by cavalry. And yeah, I can't imagine this unit's going to be around for much longer as we just see the men get demolished. So an interesting pull through there, but didn't quite work out whatsoever. We also seeing the Crimean heavy archers being committed over to his right-hand side to help out in the Carthaginian breach, which I think is definitely going to be the scariest one in the last 8 minutes of this battle. Yeah, if there's going to be a breach point, it's going to be right here. It really is. Because it seems like this kind of section has been taken care of. And now, obviously, the defenders have to still, protect it. But they can just leave like one unit here if they want to. We are seeing the attackers reforming up their kind of attempt right here. But we do have some Ptolemaic cavalry advancing through the city streets. And this unit is going to have, is going to force the Galatians to have to worry about wherever this unit does go. Archers being thrown in here as well. This is just brutal. Up against the Hellenics, it's like kind of very, very difficult. Seems like the Carthaginians are falling back once again. They're probably trying to use the rest of their missiles as the charges do come in. But that Galatian general is dead to rights. He, for whatever reason, has not... Okay, cool. So in Divided Tempera, the rough stone just slows up infantry. But in just vanilla Rome 2, it just slows up cavalry. However, it does not slow them up enough. And now the Galatian general is going to be run through by the Ptolemaic general. And, I mean, that cavalry probably already lost its general. But even still, it's going to still send, take out that unit and still be kind of annoying nonetheless. Yeah, the slingers are just doing their work as best as they can. They really need to fire as many shots as possible. Because if they don't break this northern position soon, that's going to be all lost. This could definitely be a good attacking position as well. There's a lot of very good infantry here, and there's a lot of tired Numidians. So this could definitely also see great gains for the attackers. But we have that missile fire coming in as well, and just doing some damage to the Oathsworn general. And the Crimeans are advancing out a little bit, being very aggressive, trying to use this cavalry to hammer away against the Chosen and actually drive them onto the pikes. Pretty good stuff right there. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some infantry coming back around to try and reinforce this. The Ptolemaic cavalry is just causing some issues. More infantry being advanced in. This is the perfect time to try and kill the Crimean noble general. They have caused some issues back here, but I feel like this is kind of playing into the defenders' hands, right? Because they can use their cavalry so effectively just to, frontally charge and hammer away. Especially if you can engage them, even with just some crappy Crimean heavy archers. You engage them with these archers, and then you just throw the cavalry in, and the cavalry just does so much damage. So I feel like putting through right here is actually really working in favor of the defenders. No, we're going to get a cavalry charge here. General v general. The Carthaginians actually smashing into the Ptolemaic horses. But now the Galatians can seize this and really try to cut the head off the snake, right? They deal with the Ptolemaic cavalry as infantry has been dispatched from the other breach. And I'm going to be hammering into their rear. So this is great. The Ptolemaic cavalry, I think, pulled through, but there's a heavy risk they're just going to lose their general. Obviously taking so many casualties, losing over half the unit as they pull back from this battle. Over half the unit now, so they could have definitely lost their general. Not that Egypt have like anything left, and now we're getting breaches. The infantry are now breaking them. Is this the moment the attackers win the battle? Definitely could be. They were slowly grinding away, waiting for their opportunity to strike, and now the defenders just have barely anything left. Instead of pushing headlong into the enemy formation as well, they're trying to seize this opportunity, trying to take out as many infantry as they can. The Numidian cavalry coming in though, doing so much damage on that charge. They're just looking to try and break the blocks of infantry and bring them down by enveloping them. Luckily though, somehow this unit is still active and steady. Don't quite know how, but that's obviously desert cohorts for you. And now once again we are getting them fully on retreating back to this last choke point right here. The last two choke points. Brutal stuff. I think both the generals are also going to go down now in this battle. And now that's going to kind of spell the Carthaginians who have kind of been sitting back, and it's now going to give them the perfect opportunity to continue to come on. Another rear charge off on this side, doing some serious damage to the Oathsworn. But they are going to be hopefully victorious in killing this desert cohort. They need to just bring it down already and finish it off once and for all. I mean, it's still holding, and every single time, every single second this unit holds is really bad. They got over 100 kills there as well. I think we are going to be seeing the generals being taken care of, and actually they're going to fall back to the last defense right here. And they do have a unit of Hellenic Royal Guard here, and this could be it. You know, the attackers just might not have enough men, but this unit can't cover, I don't think, the entire strait, so they can still run men up through this side and kind of get around the side. So they're going to move in. I think the attackers must have this battle at this point. They really must. They have so many men left. And even if the defenders, I feel like the defenders played really, really well. The attackers just have, you know, too many infantrymen left at this point. And yeah, you can see them obviously going to be seizing this advantage and charging in. Obviously going to be utilizing the small gap that's being covered. There's also Balearic Slingers, I think, firing off. I don't think there's many missiles left whatsoever for the defenders, if any, really. And they have so many infantrymen left. Oh, they're actually capturing the city center. Oh, that's so interesting. So the city center can actually be captured from the bottom here. That's really interesting. I don't think it's going to matter. I think the sides are just going to end up breaking. Yeah, because as soon as these African pikemen break, that's going to be a battle. And the attackers are going to claim a victory and win the tournament and take that juicy $150 prize home. So massive shout out to the defenders right here. Oh, sorry, to the attackers who were victorious, racking up some nice kills, playing very well. Obviously, all the players here played extremely well. I was definitely impressed by the defenders as well. I feel like they set up some really good positions. Just unfortunately, they couldn't pull that one off. And the attackers won with a fair amount of their army still left remaining. So not bad whatsoever there. So really high class play. Big shout out to all the players right here. If you want to take a look at the kills, you can just pause it and see, you know, who really racked up the most kills. I think the one unit that really took my eye was this unit of Libyan infantry. Maybe it wasn't that. Yeah, I don't know. I swear I saw a unit with over 400 kills. Can't seem to find it right now. But even still, both sides playing extremely well. And yeah, look at that Crimea going heavy archers. Like heavy archers. It's not a bad strategy, obviously, when you have Messala easily with so much heavy infantry. Not bad whatsoever. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this battle. If you did, drop a like and a comment down below. Make sure to check out their Discord, and I'll link it down below in the description. And I'll see you guys in the next one.